I've got a quick video for you. This one's going to be along the lines of, should we be getting bundle information from data mines, and what are we going to do if we don't get it anymore? Obviously, one of the things that I primarily do for content is look at bundles, mainly monthly. Sometimes I'll go individually here, but I tend to get at least a big coverage for the month. I like to help people make decisions, at least maybe help them inform themselves for the decisions they make is a better way to say it. Just so that people can understand what the value of something is in game. In a lot of mobile games, there's secondary currencies, and ours, we've got gold, we've got tokens, we've got credits, and then you're going to use real cash money to buy these secondary things. Generally speaking, this is a tactic used by many gaming companies so that you don't think about how much you're actually spending. Similar to using what used to be using cash versus using a credit card. A lot of time, the mentality of using a credit card, it doesn't hit you as hard as whether you would slam down $300 in cash. That hits you a little bit harder. Similar to here, where it's like, all right, well, I'm using 4,200 gold, which costs me, I don't know what, like 60 bucks-ish, 55, 60 bucks. And that's sort of the point. Is that when these things are made, it's whether it's Marvel Snap or any other game that you see, they all do it. So I like to try to help people at least think that through. I always encourage people to have a monthly budget. One of the things that you might or might not have been aware of is that we are unable to find any bundle information in the recent patch. Now, could that be that they just didn't put any in there? Maybe, versus them deciding to not ever put it in there again. It could be one or the other. We don't know. There's been no official information. I'm not sure we'll get official information. I personally was sort of trying to get people to stop complaining about they changing what's in the data mines, because I was fearful that if too many people complained, that at some point they'd say, you know what, let's just not put the stuff in there, and then it'll be what it's going to be when it's released. Because one, I like to do content on it. I like to help provide some information for people. While it might change, it still can give us a general idea. I'd rather know that I need to head in a northerly direction versus not knowing what direction to head and all. And if you're like, if I'm going north and it ends up being northeast, okay, cool. It changes. Sometimes it might not be northeast, it might be southwest. But, at least I'm trying to think about a potential direction, and more often than not, it's going to be in the right direction. So as of now, I don't have a future look at bundles. I'll do a video on what some of the data mine stuff is. I know a lot of people already did that. You might be aware, but I like to give for my community some thoughts on the cards that are coming, and I promise you I'll do that. Just got some real life stuff going on, and I still wanted to get a video out there. So the question becomes, we've got all these offers in game, and that's going to show up at some point. We don't know when. How am I going to help or try to help you make those decisions? If they just remove everything ahead of time, I'll go ahead and get to the point where I'll do, a couple before they end, or I'll do one on when it pops up. If the content makes sense, if people seem interested in it. Another way that we might do it is if we've got, maybe a month's advance notice instead of like 2 months advance notice, what I'll probably do is something I want to talk about with, that kind of came from when I saw some stuff on Twitter from my buddy Krakenol. Krakenol's a friend from multiple games from before. A good human being. I recommend. I don't think he's streaming and stuff right now, but when he does, he's fun. He's very knowledgeable and likes to cracking out on games. So he has a comment here. Coming from a reformed whale, I used to buy everything in Marvel Snap, but have restricted spending to the better value bundles that include credits mainly. And that's part of the thing where I'm talking about losing the value of tokens in game a little bit. Kraken's a perfect example of somebody who would spend a lot of money in game, maybe got everything he needed, and then tokens lost a lot of value, but credits gained a lot of value. So that's where, when I've been referring to that, it's sort of along the lines that he's implying here. He goes on to say, I will say losing bundle data kind of makes me way less likely to pull the trigger on a bundle unless it's obviously top end, i.e. 8,000 to 10,000 credits, or the gold ratio is good. That's the type of stuff that I try to provide in my videos. It's where like, all right, what's the ratio? Is this solid? Is this something I'm going to spend money on? His point of way less likely to spend. Now that's not what Second Dinner wants, but I understand where he's coming from, because he's like, well, I don't know if there's something I'm saving for, maybe not saving for. So because I don't have that information, unless you give me something I know without a doubt is really good, I'm not going to touch this offer. I'm just not going to touch it. All right. That makes sense. He goes on to say the well there might be a better bundle in a day or two mindset kicked in. I mean, that's kind of what having the advance notice of some bundle gives you the ability to go, well, I know I want to buy this right now because I looked out for the next month or two and it's just not looking like there's anything I really want. So I'm going to pull the trigger here. I've got $100 to spend in a month. There's nothing really that's coming in the next 2 weeks to 3 weeks. And this bundle, you know, checks the box. So I'll go ahead and drop $50. I'm just going to do it because I know nothing's coming. So that is, I think, a mistake on Second Dinner's part. And like, all right, so because I think people will revert to, and this is where it goes to a little bit in this Corrales point here. And I think I end up commenting somewhere. Yeah. So Corrales, if you're unaware, is also a great provider of bundle information. I've enjoyed chatting with Corrales. We've talked about doing a video together. Life kind of got sideways for me, so I've not been able to connect with him and sort of say, hey, like let's actually do this. But one day we'll do something. So Corrales says, "You're a genius. Now I know how to fix everything." And he says, "Oh, do pray tell." And Corrales says, "If we can't use future bundles, we need to use the available data from the past much, much better." Winky face. "With the plan tool and the upcoming conditions of uncertainty, everything will be much clearer." I say concur. Past becomes more relevant, but I agree with Kraken. I think removing the future data is a mistake. Informed buyers will compare to the past, and if it isn't a top tier, then it's a skip. Whereas if we had some future data, we could say, well, this is the best of what's coming, so I'm spending here. And that's kind of what I referred to a little bit ago. And I do think it's unfortunate. Look, Second Dinner doesn't owe us anything. They don't have to tell us anything. They could drop an offer in a day and just rely on FOMO. This might be the best. It might not be the best. You just don't know. Fear of missing out? Better buy it. That is a sales tactic that many, many companies and games use all over the place. I hate it. And it was one of the reasons why I liked the data information, because that version where it's the FOMO selling is way worse. So now we're in a situation where I hope they're just skipping a month as far as the data mine information goes. But either way, I mean, it's kind of like what Kraken said. It's going to be, people are going to skip these offers unless it's one of the top notches. And I don't blame them. So again, I will go ahead, and if you haven't seen, I've got a giant spreadsheet that I do all these type of things for. So, and we'll just look, instead of going, well, what's in the next month? We're going to go, well, based on everything we know before, this is worthy. It's not worthy. So when you look at this artist pulp showcase one, this is one of the ones that I said before that I thought, honestly, they would change. They didn't change it. I was a little surprised. I was hoping they would, but they didn't. And when I'm looking at my spreadsheet here, I don't have it up on the screen. I'll show you in a second, but it's still, they did up the tokens from 3,000 to 4,000. Okay. So that went from 0.714 to 0.9. So that's better for sure. So they technically did increase it. They increased it a little bit to make it a little better. Before I was still talking about, I said only if you want the cosmetics. Even at 0.9, unless you're somebody who's buying tokens a lot for the Token Tuesdays. I mean, me personally, I've got almost 40,000 tokens, and I'm not going to buy stuff like this more than likely because I just don't know what they're going to be doing with their economy. I feel like they just keep changing it. And I don't mind them adjusting certain bundles based on what people are buying. But at some point, it's nice to know like what your dollar goes for, right? And I feel like I'm confident my dollar goes this far, and this makes sense, you know. And if they have sales later, okay, they've got sales later. But right here, right now, if you're looking at this bundle, I think as far as if you're really looking at tokens and you're a Token Tuesday spender, this is obviously a good value. For those of you who are unaware, if you bought from the store, this Kings in the Castle offer from the web store, they made a mistake, and I think it said 10,000 gold in something there for the same price. They are going to honor that, as they should. And for all of you who bought in game for $30 for 4,000 gold, I know that might feel bad, but you were technically not deceived. You saw what you were getting, you were willing to buy it, and went that far. The people who bought in the web store might have purchased it thinking, I'm getting 10,000 gold, I'm going to spend $30. There are also laws in certain countries that say that the company has to do that. So that might be part of it too. Try not to be too, well, feel however you're going to feel, but I would suggest not getting too worked up about it. I know some people were kind of mad. I'm like, that's not how it's going to work, y'all. Just not. This variant, super, super hot. I love when they've got fire and flames, and I'm sure the Odin one with the lightning is going to be good as well. It's pretty solid, not too bad. So, you know, again, is this worth it? 4,000 gold, you go in here for 30 bucks? Yeah, it is. So those who actually bought it for 30 bucks and are going to get 10,000, that's a great buy for them. So these are the type of things we're going to look at. When I look at this, I typically look at the credit ratio, but I'm also going to primarily look if it's just gold. How much gold do I get for the price based on what I would typically pay for gold in game? So look, I'm still going to be here to try to help you guys with your offers. Consider hammering down the like button, subscribing, you know, the notification bell. We've got all sorts of socials and stuff linked below, but I want to do things where I can find ways to still help with offers, because I know that's a big reason a lot of people come to my channel. You know, hopefully I can find some decks for you as well if you want to follow along with that. But that's all I got for today. Hope you guys are having a great week. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day.